In today's episode, it's solo. You got me today. And honestly, I think that today's episode might be one of the most important ones for you to listen to in all of the podcasts of 2025. We're going to be talking about where you need to be placing your focus, your attention, your dollars this year. I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on where you should be really spending time marketing and with social media and what's going to matter the most, what you should be also doing in store to create loyal customers. Then I'm going to talk about some of the recaps and inspiration that I got from being at the National Retail Federation's big show last week in New York City. This is information that people pay a couple $1,000s a ticket for to get direct access to what the top retail brands are doing and how they're seeing success. And what's really cool is that they pulled back the curtain. They really shared some of the struggles and challenges and then where they're focusing. I took good notes and I'm going to share with you today. I think even though that these are big boxes or global brands, we can absolutely, from an independent and small business perspective, learn from them. And we should. And this is what can set you apart from other retailers who are not listening to this show. So you're going to love what you're going to learn today. I hope you feel really inspired. Plus, at the end of this episode, I will be talking about some of my top takeaways on store tours that I went to in New York City. Again, some of these top brands and just some of the unique, cool things that they're doing. Also, technology that is out there that's coming for you to really understand what the playing field looks like in retail. So let's dive in. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis, the Wolf of Main Street, and this is Rooted in Retail. Okay, so this is a packed episode, and we're going to start with my predictions and my advice on where you should be placing your attention in 2025. Now, I think that it's so important that we are really focusing on in-store, online, social. We hear omnichannel all the time, but we really do live in an omnichannel world. And so I want to make sure that we're thinking of all aspects. What I want you to focus on, super high level, is you have to show up to the customer. How are we getting found and being seen and showing up in 2025? This is for people who don't know us at all to find new customers, but also people who have shopped with us, but maybe haven't been in the store in a while or have just never come back a second time. So that's the first part of this, is how are we really getting found and showing up? Then how are we connecting? What are we doing to create meaningful conversations and connections with our audiences so we are relatable? And the thing is, that's the big buzzword we're hearing, like I shared on a previous after the show, is that is all about relatability. We've kind of dropped the authenticity word, and now it's about being relatable to your audience. Relatable can come into those meaningful connections. We've got to think of our marketing as connecting, not marketing. And then when they come into our store, we need to master customer experience. I think this is our independent retailers' number one competitive advantage of really mastering the customer experience. And like I've mentioned on previous podcast episodes, I am certified in unreasonable hospitality, doing more talks around this. I'll be talking about it at Evolve, which we've got a whole workbook I'm taking attendees through on how we really turn ordinary moments into extraordinary experiences. And what ends up happening is we create loyalty, and our customers love the experience so much that they are sharing that on social media. They become these viral sales soldiers, and we build lifetime relationships. And that simple, overarching focus of get found, create connection, master customer experiences equals more money, equals resiliency. And that is a big mission of mine, is I want to create resilient retailers who can weather any kind of storm. And so we do that through those steps. And so here's how in 2025, we're going to make that happen. The first, I've said this several times on the show, but if you are new here, I have a concept called 15-mile famous. And this is where if everybody in a 15-mile radius knew about your store, knew exactly what you sell, they know your events going on, they love you, they talk about you, How would that change your business? And of course, if you're in New York City, we want to be 5 block famous. And if you're in the middle of nowhere farm town, you might be 50-mile famous. Whatever works for your town. But we need to, in 2025, if you have a physical store location, need to think locally. I want you to focus on that local lens and make sure that we are really connecting with our local audience. And then we're driving them in, we're getting found, we're driving them in, and we're creating that amazing experience. And so when we think differently, like when we think about being 15-mile famous, of course, social media marketing can help you do that. Social, we have access. We have the ability to get in front of our customers. We have the ability to let the app with the algorithms deliver the right content to the right people. So this is where you have to really understand your perfect customer, like truly understand them and what's relatable to them and how they want to be entertained or educated or inspired. And you're creating that content and showing up and letting the algorithms push that content to those people, specifically through Reels or YouTube Shorts or TikTok. As I'm filming this right in this moment, TikTok is not available in the US. We'll see what happens, what the future holds. So this is where we are creating that content. We're being relatable, and social can help us be 15-mile famous. That is one of the ways. We can use local hashtags. We can follow the local businesses followers because they're probably also locals. We can see locations that people are tagging and follow those locations. Like we're participating in the local conversation on social. We might do several other things outside of social to be 15-mile famous. We might stream on Spotify and Pandora based on a certain zip code rate or radius. We might be doing social ads. We might be doing postcards. We might be doing press, guerrilla marketing. We might be doing really cool events and inviting in press and micro bloggers and influencers and our customers and going next level. Like we might be leveraging other people's audiences of our other businesses in town. There's so many things you can do to where I created a checklist for you and it's free. You can go to rootedinretail.com/15mile, 15 mile. And then there will be a form there where you could give your information and then we'll send you that checklist because it's 6 pages of ways to become 15-mile famous. So I think that our independent retailers who have brick and mortar, we are thinking through that lens in 2025. It will change your marketing. And I want you to be talking about this weekly. Like really dedicate your time to being 15-mile famous and find the strategies that work for you. So the next advice for you for 2025 is I want you to commit to a sustainable marketing strategy that's going to work for your store. You need to commit because we know that with any kind of marketing, we have to be consistent. Occasionally marketing our store, it's not going to work. That effort that you've occasionally put in is just really not going to produce much. We have to be consistent. And the reality is that I've been teaching social media for over 15 years, and specifically with small businesses who maybe don't really have help with social media. Majority of them really struggle with social. They really struggle with committing to it. They struggle with seeing any kind of real tangible business result. They struggle with not wanting to be on camera, not wanting to be seen. It's uncomfortable. They struggle with not understanding it, feeling left behind. There's a lot of different things that they struggle with. And for those of you who are just not going to commit to social media, I want you to pick a different strategy. I want you, the key here for 25 is we're committing to a sustainable strategy for our store. So when I say sustainable strategy, it's something that we can actually put effort into and energy into, and we are committing to it. So this is where that checklist can come into play for the 15-mile famous because there's a lot of different strategies on there. We're not going to do everything on that list. We're going to pick one thing. Now, if you are somebody who likes being on the apps, or you're like, I am uncomfortable, but I know my audience is there and I really want to leverage it, then use it. Then the key here, be consistent. And I can tell you everything you need to succeed when it comes to social media marketing in one line, which is be yourself and talk to your favorite customer every single day. That's it. On these social apps, I want you to be you and I want you to talk to your favorite customer every day. That will help you build the relationship, build the connection, keep you top of mind, and keep people choosing you because they feel, yes, she gets me. He gets me. You're talking to that one person, you're connected, you're being yourself. And there's so many different things you could showcase in store. Remember, being relatable, behind the scenes, storytelling. You don't always have to talk about product. Like if your customers love The Bachelor and The Bachelor's starting, then you should talk about The Bachelor, like on your social media. That has nothing to do with what you sell, but it has everything to do about understanding our customers and how we're going to connect with them. So we want to storytell, we want to entertain, we want to inspire, we want to educate. Look at social through those lenses if that is part of your strategy. Some of the things that are going to still work well in 25. There's nothing that's necessarily big and different than 24. I'll just say short form video content is still very strong. So this is going to be reels on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you're posting to both places. A lot of retailers just post to Instagram reels. Make sure you're posting those reels on Facebook as well. YouTube Shorts is YouTube's version of short form video content. And then, of course, TikTok. And that's a big question mark right now. I personally think it will come back. And that is an absolute place you should be if it is available. The local algorithm is better than any other platform out there. Also, these social media platforms all take your data. They all have issues. TikTok is actually better than Meta. And in fact, one of the worst applications from a privacy perspective is Facebook Messenger and how that app works. So I'm not going to get into the whole logistics of that. If you have questions, you can ask in our mastermind, ask in the Facebook group, or maybe I need to do an episode around it. Let me know if you need that. My whole point is that if it does come back, it's a really strong tool to build your business, the best in my opinion. And TikToks are short form video content. So we want to be using short form video content if we are willing to commit to social media. Social ads are still working really well. And I did a podcast towards the end of the year that we can link to about advertising, what ads to focus on, and some of those ways to really leverage. Of course, we can run ads for you. We have a boutique agency, and you can email info@rootedinretail.com to get some more information. Live selling. Okay, live streaming. I have been promoting live streaming, live selling since it first started, which I think was in 2015, maybe 2016. And I remember because it was my first office that I got for Crystal Media. We're Rooted in Retail now, but it used to be Crystal Media. And I moved into an actual office and it was blocks from the ocean. And I remember live streaming just came out, like I was testing it and I was teaching it. And it still works, party people. Like 10 years later, it is still such a strong tool. A lot of strategies with live selling. We've talked about a lot of those strategies on the show. But Lori with the dressing room, if you want to search her podcast was really good, talking about live selling. But this could be something you do every day, like Lori did. It could be every week where you have a theme and you commit to it and you have a show and people tune in. It could be something that's seasonal that you're going to do like a 4-part live stream. And this is what we're covering. And it ends on this day, or maybe we're talking about trends, themes, time of year, promotions, holidays, things like that. It's slow in the store. It's, like 4 p.m. I have 2 employees on the clock. I'm paying them and nobody is coming in for one reason or another. It could be the weather. It's a slow night, Monday night slow, whatever it is. Well, let's just jump on impromptu live selling, live streaming, talk about new products, entertain, educate, connect with your customers. Live selling is still going to be strong in 2025. All the apps are integrating more features for live selling to help merchants sell more, sell easier, facilitate the transaction. And so those are things that you should really be looking at. There are also third-party tools like Comment Sold or Selmo. Selmo is a new one that just got introduced to us at Rooted in Retail. They are a European brand trying to break into the States. But what's cool about their technology is they can help you facilitate live selling through Meta and without taking a percentage of your sales. So check them out too. Selmo, Selmo. But live selling is going to be great. We'll continue to see engaging with our audiences and Ask Me Anything and polls. We're going to see user generated content still. It works really well. If you could get your customers to post pictures, if you can work with micro influencers and micro bloggers to take pictures and content and post that online. Those things are going to help, increase our brand. And when the content comes from not the brand, not the owner, and it's product based, that tends to sell better because it's relatable. It is taken from a customer who sees the product in that way, how they use the product, how it's in their home, on their body, on their face, all the things, how they're doing it. When it's in their perspective, it's more relatable to the customer. So UCG is going to continue to be something strong for 2025. I also want our independent retailers to make sure that we are building our email list and or our text marketing list. Like I said, TikTok shut down 2 days ago. And I think I read that there was 130,000 creators who it's their livelihood is TikTok. And if you are nailing it with your social media and people love you and they come in and buy, or they click over to your site and they buy, and then that app is shut down or the algorithms change, then you are without a business. Like, people lost their business overnight. Now, here's the deal. I follow a lot of creators. I'm a very curious person. I'm in the social media space. It's in my DNA. So I'm constantly analyzing brands and influencers and creators and how they captivate their audience and what they do to really create connection. And then I'm also like really connected with some of these influencers. I don't join their email list. It is harder to get people to convert, but part of why I don't join is there's often never an ask and there's never an offer. There's never a, hey, I have this email list. I follow a lot of astrologists, so let's use that. I love astrology. So, if there was somebody who said, hey, I have this special report on understanding, it's for Scorpio risings. That's what I am. And what do Scorpio risings need to know for 2025? It's a free report. Go download it at this link. And then I'm getting the email address that they're getting the email address. And then I get the report. Often you don't see the ask. And that is the same with our retailers. So we need to give an ask. If it's a report, if it's a guide, if it's a checklist, if it's a how-to, it's demonstration, it's an offer, and it's got to be good. $5 off, they're probably not going to join your email list. But maybe if it was $20 off, or depending on the price point, we want to make sure that it's juicy enough to get them to click over, fill out a form, and get the thing. So focusing on getting the email address and or text, I think, needs to be something that we all do in 2025. This is not a new strategy. Just shows you the importance. We've been talking about this forever and ever, but I just still don't see retailers making any kind of ask to join the list. One of the best ways that you could get people to join your email is Facebook advertising. It's typically, I think we run this for majority of our ad clients, of course, the ones that do email marketing. And we are getting people to opt in for less than $1, 16 cents, 50 cents, like really great opt-ins. And of course, you're paying for the email address, but then you can leverage that. And if you have a good email marketing where you are driving sales, then you will make more money. So grow that list. The other thing, AI, you have heard me say it so many times, but AI, that was the buzzword last year. And I think it's just going to be amplified in 2025. All the platforms are integrating AI. So much so that I was doing a little research this morning on email marketing platforms for retailers and also for us, because we're looking at moving. And, HubSpot has some really cool predictive analysis. And like, you could say whether or not people are more likely to open this subject line or that subject line, because it's analyzing all aspects of your email list. Klaviyo, which is such a strong one for our retailers who sell on Shopify. I mean, Klaviyo can have predictive analysis on when your customers are going to buy their next item online with you. Like, it could say in about 33 days, this person's going to buy again. What they're going to buy. I mean, it's pretty cool that technology is available for us. Even MailChimp, good old MailChimp. And maybe I need to really revisit MailChimp, but I'll say just for a long time, MailChimp was like the very bottom entry point, easy to use, but not a lot of bells and whistles. So, not a lot of things you could do as a marketer. They're even integrating AI in smart ways. They've really enhanced their game. So, we need to be leveraging these tools as small businesses because I really believe that AI has allowed us to play the same game that big boxes play. You have access to the same technology. ChatGPT is free for everybody. That can be your creative arm, your strategic partnership, your brainstorming buddy, your analysts. I mean, it could be so many things for you. Leverage it, learn it. Do not be afraid of it. I recently, just a couple weeks ago, I did an AI training for, I think we had 130 reps on the call, reps in the gift and home space, and their minds were blown on what you could do and what I showed them. And one person put in the chat, this was the best training of my career. If you're not leveraging AI, you will be left behind. You are working too hard. This is going to be the year of AI, and I don't know where it's going to go. It's pretty, honestly, some of it scares me, and then some of it really excites me. So leverage AI in 2025. And if you need help, I have our AI and Innovation Lab available to Mastermind members. And you can learn more about Mastermind at rootedinretail.com/mastermind. I'm also talking about AI at Evolve. And man, I always blow a lot of minds when I show my content at these conferences. So just you wait. Just you wait. I'm so excited. Okay, so here's the deal. Those are kind of my social media predictions as far as what I would be using, where I'm going to focus if you are going to commit to being consistent on social media. If you're not going to commit to being consistent on social media, then you're going to use something else from that 50-mile checklist and you're going to commit to it. I want you to focus on being 15-mile famous, getting found, creating connection, mastering customer experience, and making more money. And however that entry point starts for you, that's where we really want to focus if it is social. To recap, live selling, shoppable posts, stories, omni-channel, short form video content, engagement with your audiences, user-generated content, relatability, storytelling, UCG, user-generated content, growing our list, leveraging ads, AI. And it's just got to be consistent. Now, to go in that middle piece of mastering customer service, I talk about hospitality. Hospitality is your number one competitive advantage as an independent business. You call the shots, you write the rules. And if you're writing the rules to be next level service with your customers, that fuels being 15-mile famous because they have such a great experience with you in store that they go online and share it with their audience. And then they become these sales soldiers for you. And then they come back time and time again. Perfect example of this. I flew Delta a couple days ago. I was in Atlanta. I did in-person podcast recordings with Ann Moore. They gave me this beautiful space. I sat down with 5 awesome people. You're going to love these conversations. We also did a dinner with some of our retailers, with some of the listeners of the show. If that was you, it was so great meeting you in person. That's where it pays to be a part of our Facebook group because I just went in the group and said, hey, I'm doing a dinner in Atlanta. Who wants to join us? And so when I was flying Delta coming home, I got on my seat and I noticed that there was a little Delta postcard and it said, thank you. And I actually thought it was trash. I was like, oh, they accidentally forgot to throw this away. So I pick it up and go to put it in the seat in front of me. And I see my name and it's actual like a pen, not printed, like it's a pen. It says Miss Vilkaitis and thanks me for my loyalty of flying on Delta. That was next level. So what do? I show Dustin. I show my dad and his wife. I'm posting it on social. You might have seen my post by now when this airs. That I really do wonder if Delta read Unreasonable Hospitality and or worked directly with Will Guidara, the author of Unreasonable Hospitality, because that is a customer touch point when you sit on your seat. How can you make that experience better? It's sort of like laborious. You're like, I'm getting here. I got to sit down and get my bags and you're sitting. You're getting bumped by everybody who's walking by. If you're on the aisle, you're just waiting, right? You're waiting for takeoff and it just takes some time. They thought, okay, how do we surprise and delight people when they sit at their seat? Well, for our loyalty members, we're going to write a handwritten card and thank them and impress them. So that's exactly the Unreasonable Hospitality framework is where we analyze all the customer touch points from the very beginning of how they're finding you to the very end And then we're looking at ways to make the good ones even better, or make the bad ones great, or make the overlooked touch points that we don't really think too much about, which would kind of be sitting in the seat. How do we make those memorable? And that's exactly what Delta did. So I wonder if they worked with Will or followed that framework. Here's what's cool. If you're coming to Evolve, I'm doing this framework live with our audience. And this framework will make you more money. It's going to blow your mind. It's so cool. And it will make you a better retailer in 2025. I want you to look through the lens of being 15-mile famous and having unreasonable hospitality, mastering customer experience. You will succeed in 25 if you focus there. So get your checklist, the 15-mile checklist, and then get your ticket to Evolve. If you go to rootedinretail.com/evolve and use the code ROOTED, ROOTED, you're going to save some money. And depending on when you're listening to this and when you put the code in, you might save a lot of money. I made the offer pretty darn good. So go check that out, save some money, and come to Evolve. It is limited. I think as I'm filming this, mid-January, we only have 29 VIP tickets left. VIPs, you get an extra cocktail reception with me and my team and other attendees and other sponsors. You get lunch both days, a really beautiful, delicious lunch. You get your VIP lounge area for some snacks, and you get an extra half-day education where it's a little more intimate. And our half-day theme is money and marketing. It's going to be good. We want to make sure that we're just leveraging marketing and making more money. So get your ticket. You don't have to get VIP, but we do have VIP available still right now. Might sell out depending on when you're listening to this. Otherwise, you could get standard. Join us and learn this unreasonable hospitality framework. Learn about AI, learn about being 15-mile famous, and learn from the other 17 speakers that are going to be here delivering epic content to build you into a better retailer. I want to pause real quick and just share with you that I was in Atlanta, like I just mentioned, and I was talking to a retailer who bought her ticket to Evolve. And she said, I'm really nervous. And we were like, why? Is it leaving your kids or traveling? What are you really nervous about? And the root of it was she has never invested in herself like this before. She never bought a ticket. Then you buy the travel and you leave your store and you leave your family and you're gone for a few days and you're betting on yourself. And that can be scary. That you feel the pressure. You're like, okay, I'm investing in myself and I better see a return. Well, in my opinion, I can't think of a better person for you to invest in than yourself. So often running businesses, we are so in the weeds. And also for retailers, you might not be taking home much pay. Just talked to somebody today who hasn't been on salary for years. So when we invest in ourselves, we show up differently. We become better. We hold ourselves accountable. We play full out. We learn. We take notes. We ask questions. We connect. We network. We go home and we implement. We integrate. We want to make sure that we're seeing a return because we invested in the most important thing, ourselves. Not your business, ourselves. How are you showing up? How are you building your store? And I think that this is so critical for our retailers in 25 to really invest in yourself. And if going to Evolve is just not in the cards for you, it just cannot work for you, then you do invest by listening to this show. And I do really work hard to get you good education for free. There are a lot of different ways that you can learn and, books and YouTube videos and all the things. But I will just tell you that when you put yourself into a new environment, you get better answers, new ideas, make new connections, sometimes meet lifelong friends. I have many of times that have so helped my business in so many ways I can't even explain. Like so many ways. I have met so many people in person at conferences and events that I've attended, game changers for my business. So I hope you bet on yourself. Go to Evolve, get your ticket, and use the code ROOTED. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. So that's where I want you to focus 25. From a marketing perspective, the lens that we're looking at, I want to transition into the National Retail Federation. I went to the big show. And it's funny because last year I got an email. I was on an airplane and I got an email about attending the National Retail Federation. And I was like, well, why would I go to that? I often think about like, should I go to that? But it's big box retailers. And I work with indies and small businesses. And so every year I'm like, oh, it doesn't relate to me. It doesn't relate to my audience. There was something last year on the airplane when that email came through. And I was like, I am meant to be there. I can't explain it. I just knew I was meant to be there. And maybe you feel that way about Evolve. So I hit reply to that email and I said, I have a podcast. Do you do any kind of podcasting? How do you become press? Just ask some questions and ended up getting approved to be press and go to the big show. And so I invested. I was there for 5 nights. It was a long show. It was a 3-day show, but I did store tours the day before. And then I had to fly in the day before that. So I was out there for 5 days. And oh my gosh, I'm so glad I went. I can't express the things that happened to me. Honestly, I feel like this is so crazy. I feel like I could cry a little. I just got such a flood of emotion. I know that might sound so weird. I'm talking about a conference, but I felt so aligned with what I was learning, the ideas I was getting, what I was hearing. And again, these are big brands, like the top brands. And I work with small businesses, but everything I was learning can so be translated and was making me so excited for our listeners and our mastermind members and our Evolve attendees, because I'm going to share this information with them and they better freaking act on it because they're going to be next level. It was so exciting. The access that I had, the people I heard from, some of the brands that were in the room. We had Best Buy. She was actually phenomenal, the CEO of Best Buy. Lululemon, American Girl, Coach, Sephora, Sam's Club, Domino's, Dylan's Candy, Anthropology, Tommy Hilfiger, their Pattern by Tracy Ellis Ross, who's also an actress. She was actually one of my favorite speakers. Top brands. I felt so alive. I felt so aligned. And the content I got for you guys that I'll be sharing all throughout the year, I'll be sharing some today, some at Evolve. I have special Evolve tab just to save that content for Evolve. Was really powerful. So I want to just say this. One of the opening sessions on the first day was John Schulman, the CEO of Burberry. And he said, the brands that win are the ones that change and evolve. And if we played a drinking game at the National Retail Federation Big Show, for every time we had to take a drink, every time somebody said the word evolve, nobody would have made it to lunch. Oh my gosh, you guys, that word was said so many times. All the brands are saying it, all the brands are thinking it. They've really are moving away from such strict procedures and systems and ways of doing things and understand that the customer changes fast and the technology changes fast, that they have to be able to pivot and they have to be able to evolve. And so that means that we're lightening up a little bit. We're taking steps back. We're allowing for maybe some of the quote unquote, maybe messier ways of doing things, but we are meeting the customer where they are and we are evolving. And so that was such a key theme. It was so much more. Also, it's no longer about just selling products like the transaction, sell, 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 sell. That's not what anybody was talking about from a retail perspective. We have to change our mindset when it comes to retail. It's about building a community hub and offering meaningful interactions. So many brands were talking about the interactions, about being part of the community. Even though they're big boxes, they are a part of the community. For example, Corey Berry, the CEO of Best Buy, gosh, she was a really good speaker. I was taking so many notes during her session. She was saying how we can sometimes forget that we're a part of the community, which I actually thought was sort of funny. She said that because my indies, they know they're a part of the community. Like you show up, you support, you donate all the things. She said that their Asheville, North Carolina store during the hurricane last year and how they had all that flooding and just like nobody was prepared for it. Well, that Best Buy was doing donations and participating in the community and really I think they were giving out waters and just like being there for their community. And just that next level support is so incredibly important. You are a part of your community. How are you showing up? How are you connecting? It's so much more than the transaction. And I just think that the brands and retailers, big or small, that are all out there just to make money, they want the transaction. That's it. I'm going to sell to you, sell, sell, sell. I don't think they'll last very long. The consumers are just not into that. If you have a commodities business and it's just price point I'm shopping for, necessities and price, that's a different story. If these are things that aren't necessary and are more lavish or, we don't have to buy, it's more a want than a need, you've got to create something more meaningful than the transaction. Consumers are seeking meaningful experiences over the transaction, and hospitality is your number one competitive advantage. So leverage it. So the key themes at the National Retail Federation for sure were innovation, experiences, community, and technology in retail. Holy cow, some of the technology blew my mind. AI, another one of those words. Honestly, AI and evolve, if you're playing drinking games, you're done. You're done. So many people are talking about AI. And this is what's cool. Small businesses, you can leverage AI. You have access to this technology. So, one of the biggest things is my favorite speakers were Tracy Ellis Ross, actress and founder of Pattern. Tommy Hilfiger was amazing. Love him. Putting out there on the universe. Would love to have him on the podcast. Any of the people that I'm talking about would love to have them on the podcast. And then Corey Berry, the CEO of Best Buy. Tracy Ellis Ross said, meet customers where they are and provide joy. She started talking about, and somebody else too later that day, I don't remember exactly who, was talking about how we measure success. We're measuring the customer lifetime value, we're measuring the dwell time. That was so many people were talking about dwell time. We're measuring, and by the way, like all these big boxes are measuring dwell time. Like they have technology in their store where they're tracking how long people stay in the store. And those are metrics on the scorecard. They talked about the scorecard, the cost of conversion, the return on ad spend, all these metrics that we measure from a retail perspective. But Tracy was saying, we got to joy needs to be a part of the measurement, part of the success, how we are making people feel. And that comes back to hospitality. Hospitality is how you make people feel. Service is what you do. But hospitality is how you make people feel. And when they leave your store feeling joy or feeling connected or feeling safe or feeling happy or surprised or delighted or whatever, they're going to return. They're going to post. They're going to just love your store and you've built a lifelong customer. So we really let's measure joy. And in fact, I just, when I was in Atlanta, one of my interviews with Ginny with Port Gamble General Store, you'll hear it drop. I think hers is dropping in March. She was saying how, I can't remember the exact terminology she used, but she loves when people come in the store and be like, wow, the store, and thanks. I've just had such a great experience. I forget exactly how she said, but it was like, you've given me joy. I almost want to say that she used the word joy, but for her, she really cares about what the customer says about the store and about their experiences they're leaving. That was really special. That was really wonderful. Thank you for having me. Almost they're thanking you for you having them because the experience was so great. So we want to make sure that that's something that we're measuring with our teams and that's important to us. Okay, something else that was great was Best Buy. Building a resilient retail mission and nurturing team adaptability, emphasis on employee benefits like flexibility and reliability to meet modern expectations. There wasn't a lot of talk about how we nurture our employees, how we be good leaders. There was some comments of how it is hard to find good help. But Best Buy talked a lot about the leadership aspect and what she does with her teams that I'll talk more about at Evolve. But one thing that I really took away from her talk is she surveys their employees. Now, obviously, they have thousands of employees, but they surveyed to see what do they care about. Because as employers, we can think we know what people care about. And I think we often think they just want money. More money, promotions make more money. But what they found in their surveys is people wanted flexibility in their schedule and the flexibility could be like different jobs within different departments or even working different stores in the region or a different schedule, that kind of flexibility. or they wanted reliability. I know what my schedule is. I know my job is safe. I know I'm secure. And so, do you know what matters to your team? I think doing an anonymous survey, or you could have them put their name if you felt comfortable, understanding what motivates them, what they need, and being there for them. The gig economy has changed workers and their mindset. And I know that there's frustration in that. But part of with the gig economy is that flexibility. And so if you can provide some flexibility to your team, it may make them more motivated to show up, to stay working with you. Maybe it is learning different aspects of the store, not just always working the cash register. Maybe it is like flexible schedules where you meet together and just kind of come up with, okay, what's going on? And maybe it's team members can easily swap shifts. That was something I loved at Chili's and did that a lot. So that was definitely a big takeaway. Another takeaway from Best Buy is they use this imagine that as their tagline, which is inspired by embracing what if or why not. And I just felt like independent retailers, man, if you were just like, what if? Fill in the blank. Allow your mind to expand, allow your mind to be abundant, creative. Go to ChatGPT, type in what if, and put in the thing that you're thinking. Is it adding a service into your store, adding a coffee shop into your store? That's a way to add hospitality. Is it, being a global brand? Is it shutting down your store? Like, what is it? What if allows you to think bigger, innovate? It allows you to be curious. And I talked about the power of being curious before. I think it's so important. Tommy Hilfiger talked about being curious too, how that is something that is so important to him. And then the why not? Like, why not do it? Why not? It gives you permission. Corey with Best Buy was also talking about embracing change and challenges because everybody's experiencing them, all aspects, small or big. And this made me think of last night. I got an email from somebody who said we're kind of freaking out because I learned that one of our competitors or a new store is moving in like down the street from us, and I could tell in the email there's nervousness and it's scary and there's unknowns. And sometimes we can feel like a spiral with that information or get worried. And my response back was, this could be a really great thing for your store. Like, get to know the shop owner, learn what they sell. You guys could send business back and forth. You guys could do events together. Like, how do you collaborate? I would really view this as something that's exciting. And so when we can look at those challenges that all retail experiences, but look through a different light, a collaborative light, a positive light, tweak it, what if, why not, those things, I think we'll get better answers. And I want you to think that way in 25. Something that I thought was cool was John Schulman, the CEO of Burberry, said we lost focus of our core customer. Like, they kind of took a dip, things were hard, but then they created the 5 customer archetypes. And then they asked, what do we need to do to make progress in each of these 5 customer archetypes? And so I talk about these as your perfect customer groups, figuring out who our perfect customer groups are, really understanding these people. And then how are we going to communicate with them, connect with them, build the relationship, invite them in, give them a great experience. And I like how he said on how we're going to make progress in each of the archetypes. So that is absolutely something that my listeners can take home and you can do. And then I was in a breakout with Kevin Kelly. He is an author. He provides like makeovers almost and talks about in-store environments and experiences. And he said some really cool things. I want you to really pay attention to some of these. These are like good quote graphics, like good, powerful statements. Through experience, you help create demand for your store. Through experience, you help create demand for your store. Now, that's powerful. How do we create demand for our store to where they are just can't wait to come in? We have a line. I was at American Dream on this trip, which is the big mall in New Jersey. I'll talk about my behind the scenes experience there. And there was a straight up line to get in one of the stores. It was like a new Japanese apparel store. And there was a line. People were straight up waiting in line to get inside. When's the last time you saw that? Like at a mall to get, I mean, like for a special giveaway or tickets. No, it was just purely to shop. There was nothing special going on. They've created demand for the store. And so that was a powerful one. He used an example where he worked with Golden Corral. And have you ever been in a Golden Corral? I had been in one way back when I was a kid. Nothing too great. And Golden Corral was doing about 35,000 to 43,000 a week. They changed the inside environment, like total makeover, and they went to 89,000 to 92,000 a week. Sales significantly climbed, more than doubled by having a makeover, making it more invitable. That can be better content on your social when you're showing that, better feel, better experience inside. So could 25 be a makeover year for you? And it doesn't have to be like full on new paint, new walls, new floors, all the things. Like, can we do something small that makes a big difference? And this is where it comes into the touch points that I will take you through at Evolve. He also said that we like escaping realms. Consumers like to escape, to leave this frustrating world, busy world, sad world, whatever they're going through, and go somewhere and do something and connect either by themselves or with friends or their kids. And you have the ability to create that escapism for them that is healthy and can be really great for them. I want you to think about, how can I create a new reality, a new realm for my customers to escape to? And through that experience, provide demand for my store. That is powerful. Let it be powerful. That is powerful. Finally, from Kevin, he said that with his clients, he likes to say, he likes to ask, "Can I come home with you?" Because what he has found is he'll be in people's homes, and then you see more about their personal beliefs and their photos and their decor and just who they are. And he really encourages those personal beliefs to be pulled through, that story, those roots, that history, you, personality, and pull that through into your store. And I loved that because that's how you stand out. We don't need to be like everybody else. We want to be like us. And we want to connect to our customers. We really want to create a business that aligns with us. And when you are in alignment, you find the right customers, find you, you find the right customers. It works. So I thought that was pretty cool. I think that's a good exercise for some of our listeners. Go to your house. Sometimes like we just live in it, so we don't even see it, but go in as if you are an observer of the space and take notes. And are there personal beliefs and values and characteristics and things like that within your home that might be kind of cool to pull into the store? I think there might be. And I would love to hear about it. Share in the Facebook group. Okay, then finally, Coach. Man, Coach has some really cool stores. Like, I bet you could Google Coach stores and just see some of these concepts. They're doing really neat things, and they're different in different areas, and they allow for that to happen based on the different areas because they want those locations to appeal to their customers. But they said that they focus on location is such a big one for them, and that they've really been rethinking the space. Discover for them what they really were working on is to find, how do we increase dwell time? Again, that was another word that was said so many times. Increased dwell time. How do we focus on Gen Z? Gen Z is so attached to their phone. They're pulling it out. They're taking pictures. They're posting to social. So how do we just embrace that? And they made Instagrammable pieces. They added cafes to some of their stores. So you do sit down, you hang out for a while. It is an experience. That's going to increase dwell time. That increases that relationship. It increases belonging to the brand. Mark Schaefer, who I had speak at Evolve back in year one in 23, he has a book called Belonging to the Brand. Great book. And that is an area that kind of goes back to hospitality and people really belonging at your store. We can create these moments for them to belong there, to dwell longer, to post about it, to connect with us and be a part of the brand. And so Coach is doing a really good job of that. So to recap, key trends for 2025 retail: experience over transactions, create immersive and memorable shopping experiences, personalization through technology. I didn't talk too much about this in the recap, but there was a lot of conversation, like I said, about AI and leveraging it to really personalize, using the data that we have on our consumers, their shopping behaviors, and then using that for product recommendations and making sure we're sending at the right time with the right content. Community and inclusivity, building strong community ties that fosters a culture of belonging. Adaptability and continuous learning, being curious. We don't ever get to a point where we've got it all figured out. Keep learning, be curious, embrace change, and encourage that learning oriented culture within your team. And in fact, I've actually had a lot of retailers tell me that they make their teams listen to this podcast because it helps the team stay on the same page and they're all learning together. So that's one way to help your teams learn. But man, have that curious mind and blend digital and physical, the omni-channel, the mobile, social, online, in person. We need to be looking at all touch points, all experiences, and really creating a seamless through line and leveraging each within each, really connecting those. These are not siloed, they should be seamless. And they're integrating that online feeling to the in-store experience to meet diverse customer needs. We really need to meet their needs because they are diverse and really understanding who they are. So, your actionable takeaways, I want you to deeply understand your customer. This is critical. You need to understand them, create your perfect customer groups or your customer archetypes. How do we make progress in each? Focus on measuring emotional successes too. You can track ROIs, return on ad spend, ROAS, lifetime value customer, cost for conversions, but let's also measure joy, how we supported our customers, how we made them feel, what they said about their store, about your store when they're in the store or leaving it. Invest in employee well-being, surveying them, understanding what today's workers need. Like I said, I'll go deeper on that at Evolve. Leverage technology for personalization. Talked about some of the ways you can do that with Klaviyo and MailChimp. One Shop Retail is another one. Create customer-centric stores. Foster a sense of belonging and actively participate in local communities. This is your superpower. You have so many advantages being an independent retail. So many advantages being an independent. Take advantage of your competitive advantages. Like I heard these big boxes and I see what they're doing and the cost to get things done and the scale that they have to do them at and how it's harder for them to evolve and pivot. It's a bigger ship that they have to turn around when they're making a change. You have the ability to pivot fast. You have the ability to really connect with your community deeply and your customers can get to know you. They're not getting to know the CEO of any of those brands, and building that deep relationship. And so brands have to work really hard for people to feel like they belong to the brand. How are you making your customers belong to your store? You have so many advantages, integrate hospitality, and make sure that you are getting found. We are mastering customer experience, and you will make more money. So I'm going to talk more about all of that. And we're going to go deeper at Evolve. Reminder, go to rootedinretail.com/evolve. Use the code ROOTED, ROOTED, to save some money on your ticket. And I hope to see you there. I hope you bet on yourself. I hope you invest. You are often, I will say that we had our Atlanta dinner and one of the retailers said, this was just a couple nights ago, and she said, I almost didn't come. I almost was just going to stay. I'm tired. It's market, but I almost didn't come. And I said, well, I'm really glad you came. And often for me, in those moments, when I decide to show up, I'm really happy I did. And at the end, I asked, were you glad you showed up? And she said, yes, I'm so glad I showed up. Thank you. She had energy. I think she needed it. And so I hope you show up. I hope you invest in yourself. I can't wait for this conference. It's going to be so good. And you know what? I said I was going to talk about these store tours, but I'm going to cap it. We're almost at an hour here. I knew this was going to be a bigger episode. We had a lot to cover. And so on the after the show in 2 days, I will talk about my in-store experiences. They're so freaking cool. Oh my gosh. And I'm thinking about hosting my own in-store tours for some retailers. And I've been talking to a potential guide to take us through these tours and set up some pop-up events. So stay tuned. that might be coming out. But tune in to after the show of this episode, which is released on the Tuesday after this is dropped, to learn about these store tours and what you can do. Holy cow, you guys, there's so many cool things. So tune into that episode. As always, I'm rooting for your success. Let's make 2025 the year that we look back on and say, oh, that was pivotal. That was a turning point. That was a tipping point. That's the year it all changed. That's the year I stepped in to the business of my dreams, to the store that I love, to the success that I was wanting. Let's make it that kind of year. And I'm here to support you along the way. All right. Tune into the next episode and have a great rest of your day. Bye. Okay, I have exciting news to share. The Rooted in Retail Mastermind is launching this January. It's your chance to connect deeper with me, the retail pros from the show, and an incredible community of resilient retailers, both online and in person, with several meetups throughout the year. Get on the waitlist at rootedinretail.com/waitlist. And don't just listen to the show, be a part of the magic and grow your store with us. I hope to see you there.